Hey everybody, hey, welcome back to the 53206 cast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Meg.
And this is a podcast. It's a podcast specifically designed to help us engage in the process of rethinking our inner city spaces. Meg, we talk about this all the time, but I know that, when I'm 18, 19 years old, I have a really specific view of what the inner city is like. Mm-hmm. And when we say inner city, really that just is anywhere where there's a high level of concentrations of people that are living in poverty. And, after, living here for, I think we're coming up on our 20th year of living in our house in an area of concentrated poverty in the poorest zip code in the state of Wisconsin, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I think when I thought I would, when we were thinking about moving in here, I thought I would be scared a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was just so surprised that people were so welcoming and especially I think we moved in May of 2006. And I just remember everyone was out on their porch and they would just, talk with whoever was walking by. And I just remember being like, wow, this is so friendly. I remember so Cajun got out of her room one time.
Mm-hmm. The dog.
The dog. Our dog that has now passed. And I remember people were calling because they were like, your dog, is your dog going to be okay? So I just remember I was surprised at just how friendly everyone was and how inclusive they were. I think that's something that I get asked a lot, because you're one of the only white people, do people just not like you because you're white? And definitely that does happen sometimes where people, they think one way about white people because they've been treated, a certain way by white people. But 99% of the time, people are just wonderful.
Yeah. Meg, you're, today you're newspaper famous?
I am, yeah. Trying to get this, I feel like you guys have heard a lot about our streetlights, but I wrote a letter to the editor about the streetlights and just how this just is a continual problem that, we just keep getting dangled that it's going to get better, and nothing happens. We came home, Friday night, Friday night, yep. And, it's just pitch black. It's pitch black. A lot of people don't have front porch lights, and so it is just so dark, and it's so unsafe, and it's not okay that it just continues.
Yeah, and so you're newspaper famous because you wrote up an op-ed or a letter
to the editor.
To the editor.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, though, you really struggled to find a newspaper. You were going to go get yourself a newspaper?
Oh, my gosh. I couldn't. I went to 4 stores. And it was really nice, though. I went up the street to the gas station. I had to get gas, too. So I was like, I'll go up the street, get some gas, and then get a newspaper. And I met the new owners of the gas station on Atkinson. And
Great.
They are wonderful people. We knew the last owners. And, it's one of the only Black-owned gas stations in the state.
Yep.
And so I recommend it to everybody. But wonderful people. It was just it was nice to be able to talk with them. And they were like, I was like, do you guys have a Journal Sentinel? And they're like, no. And they were kind of like, should we? Should we,
no, probably not.
And so I went out and I told them, I was like, actually, I think I'm in the newspaper today. I'm not totally sure, about the streetlights being out. And the man, I'm sorry, Marvin, who owns it, he was kind of saying how he's from the area, and he's like, yeah, these streetlights. And so we were talking about it a little bit, but really great couple that owns the gas station on 8th and Atkinson. Yeah,
and you were talking about driving back. We were at my niece's birthday party on Friday, and we were driving back from my sister's house, who lives, 2 miles away, kind of meandering through the neighborhood. And, it's not because of anything that has to do with our neighborhood that it's a little scary when the street lights are out.
It's
so dark.
I think it's different because in a lot of neighborhoods, people have those porch lights.
Sure.
And I think that's not something that's really regular around here.
Yeah, I mean, the houses were built over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And not all of them.
And you've helped put in a few of the porch lights on the houses
put them in our rentals
on 9th. And were those hard to do?
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's not easy.
Sure. Yeah.
It's it's an add-on. I mean, the
Yeah.
electricity in most of these homes was added after they were built.
Mm-hmm.
And, if whoever owned it 120 years ago decided that they wanted to have a porch light, well, then they got one. But, not everybody has one.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think even especially going up Ring Street, which we're off of 8th and Ring, and Ring Street is so dark because a lot of the homes there, they don't have power, no one lives in.
Sure.
It's, it's just been sitting for a while. And so it's so dark. And I think I have such a problem with it because some of the We Got This kids, they live over on, there's a few of them that live over on 12th and Ring. And I know they take the bus to work, and,
Sure.
it's a 16-year-old girl, and it's, I'm just like, this is such a safety hazard. I would not let my 16-year-old girl walk from 8th to 12th in pitch black.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I mean, we don't want to start the conversation with our neighborhood's super safe.
Yeah.
And then go on to tell people how we don't feel like
Yeah.
that would be counterproductive.
But I think it's scarier in the dark, even, regardless if it I agree with you. I'll stop there. Yeah.
But I mean, I would again reiterate what you're saying, that I mean, the dark, when you're in the dark anywhere.
Yeah.
It's
scary.
not. It's scary. But yeah, Meg, we just got back from a trip, which is exciting.
Yeah.
Did you want to say something about it, or just
Yeah,
that we got back?
It was nice. Yeah, we went down to Florida, and just had a few days with the family, and it was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we ended up driving more
I
than.
kind of feel like that too. It was a lot of driving.
And I remember we went out to New Mexico or something one year, and maybe we had an event at We Got This, and then we left right after that, and then we had to be back.
Yeah.
Whatever the timing was, we ended up driving more than we didn't.
Yeah.
And I told myself, I don't want to do that anymore. And then immediately signed back up.
Yeah. Well, I
drive
think
2 days to Florida, drive 2 days back.
Yeah, I think we didn't think it would be a full 2 days, but then the traffic wasn't the best. So.
But when we were gone, we got a call from one friend from the neighborhood, letting us know that there was a house that had caught on fire,
which was really scary. I'm going to be honest. It was I feel like one of my good friends. I've known him for
a long time.
I've known him the whole time. He's lived here longer than we've lived here.
Yeah.
Around, give or take a year or two. But I've known him forever, and so 5 houses down from him, a house burnt down and the woman died. And so I was very nervous that he didn't make it out. So it was actually funny. I was coming home from the grocery store and I saw him, and I stopped my cart and ran over to him, and I was just bawling. I feel like I was a little emotional today. I'm gonna put that out there. But yeah, I was like, I didn't know if you'd be okay. And he just hugged me, and he was like, I'm okay. But yeah, he lost everything. And
yeah,
I feel like this is this is the second time in 2 months that I've ran into somebody who their house is burned down and they've lost everything.
Yeah.
And that just sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. And Meg, I was doing a little bit, cause you told me about that. And then I was like, I kind of want to know more, about that specific house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think I had just paid our property taxes.
Yeah.
Earlier in the day.
And
today.
the guy who lived there, he rented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we got 7 houses. So you got to pay, I pay him monthly, because, we own those buildings. We don't have mortgages on them. So it doesn't come out of our mortgage payment, whatever. So I'm very familiar with the City of Milwaukee website.
Yes.
Which they just redid for paying your property taxes. It's much better.
That's good, because you didn't.
There was a couple of times it just wouldn't work, and then you couldn't pay them, and it's like.
Yeah. Or you couldn't tell which one you were paying one of the times.
Yeah, it was all messed up.
Yeah.
It was all messed up.
They redid it.
It's better now.
Great.
So whatever they did, great. Thank
job.
you. Thank you for doing that. It makes paying the taxes easier. Lots of taxes. Did our regular taxes this weekend.
Yeah.
It's a very tax heavy weekend.
Taxing.
It's taxing. But so I must have had property taxes on my mind, and I know that you can enter in an address. That part of it doesn't work real great, but you can enter in an address, and you can typically figure out who owns a building.
Yeah.
And so, I had heard a couple of things from this guy, just about the building in general, and I was like, this is kind of maybe an interesting scenario.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to really describe it, but I kind of want to explain this, Meg, because this guy has lived there a very long time.
Yeah.
As long or close to as long or a little longer, or whatever it actually is. And I don't know that we totally get a straight answer out of him.
He's great. He's great though. I feel like
great guy.
Yeah,
really great guy.
Yeah,
but I looked and found the address and then found the owner, and I was just kind of curious because sometimes it'll tell you who the owner is,
and it'll tell you like if the owner's changed, because I feel like that was something.
Yeah,
I think like at one point he was trying to buy it, and he didn't.
Whatever.
But
yeah,
like if it's ever changed owners, you can find out all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so the property is owned by an individual who has passed away.
Okay.
And the reason why I want to bring this up, I don't know the individual that passed away. I don't know anybody in this person's family. I know nothing about them, and I have no positive or negative feelings about them. But I kind of want to describe something that happens around here, where if somebody owns a building.
It happened. It's right next door to where we are.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody owns a building.
Yeah.
And, if you don't have a will or the house isn't in a trust already, I'm not an expert in those kinds of things, but if you don't have those mechanisms, the house is like kind of in limbo, right?
Well, and I remember I think we just even like asked like what's going to happen to this house next door when the woman died, and that was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and they said you would have to have everyone's signature in order to sell, and the one guy that we knew him, he has since left the state, so no one's in contact with him, so I was like, I don't know how you would get his info.
Right. So with the one that you're talking about in particular, the grandma owned it, and then or a woman who had 5 or 6 kids, and the house then, because it's an asset that she has, by default is now an asset of all 5 or 6 people, right?
Yeah.
And and you might get 1 or 2 that really want to keep it. You might get a couple that want to sell it, and if they're not all in agreement, then an agreement isn't made, and it just is there.
Yeah.
And it would not. Again, I don't know anything about the situation with the house that caught fire. And that family.
Yeah.
Again, I've never met the person.
Yeah. Me neither.
And so, but it would not surprise me if a similar situation had occurred. So when I Googled the owner of the property, the first thing that came up was an obituary from 2022 or 22 or 23. So it's been a couple of years. And then I went back and I looked at the tax record again, because taxes were on my mind of doing all these taxes. And that individual who is deceased owes $22,000.
Which how much are taxes like on one of the houses?
Well, so the taxes are like less than $2,000.
Okay, I feel like for those who live in the suburbs, that's not a lot of money.
Not a lot of money. The houses aren't assessed particularly high, and so, but I mean, even in the reassessment of properties that took place between 21 and 22, all of our properties were assessed at double the value.
Oh, wow.
They went from like 30 to 60.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's easy to double it when you're going from 30 to 60.
Yeah.
And because I was looking at the assessed value of some of our buildings, just because I was curious, what they had assessed by. And actually, I got a letter in the mail from the assessor's office because they wanted to look at the new house.
Okay.
To assess it, which is fine. It's not
the new house being the ugly blue house.
Yeah, but
yeah,
it's not the ugly blue house. It's just one of the.
Sure.
So, the garden house.
The garden house, yes.
So, I was a little taken aback. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money in taxes. So. The way that
how much was it again?
22,000.
Okay, 22,000.
About $22,000.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And if you don't pay your water bill, it automatically just gets put onto your tax bill.
Okay.
Which whatever, you can do that or decide not to do that.
Yeah. At what point do they say like, hey, you need to pay this?
Well, it gets paid no matter what once it's put onto your tax bill. I mean,
no, but like so this person owes $22,000. Like how, like, hey, City of Milwaukee, like where, like, what you doing?
Well, I don't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before that, but we did talk about the garden house and how the garden house similarly had $20-something thousand in taxes that were owed.
Yeah.
And some of those had gone into collections.
Okay.
And so they hire a law firm. There's like one law firm that does them all.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if any of these had gone into collections or anything. So the house is in a little bit of a limbo. Was in limbo.
And
is
it's like
in limbo.
Underwater in limbo.
Yeah,
like that's
right.
hard.
It's a lot. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money.
Limbo underwater.
Yeah. I haven't limboed in a long time, but I wouldn't want to do it in underwater.
Oh my gosh, I don't know that my back could handle a limbo, man.
Maybe it's easier. Maybe you just swim under it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Yeah.
So the reason why I bring all of that up is, I don't know if the man that was living there was living there with his wife. I don't know anything about their situation and their relationship with the person or now people that own this building. I don't know anything about it, but I do know that is an incredibly unstable living situation because really at any point, it could be a tax foreclosure.
Yeah.
The city could come and decide that it is or isn't safe enough for people to live there.
Yeah.
I think that they wouldn't find that to be the case. But that puts you in a pretty precarious situation.
Yeah.
When you're even if you have paid all of your rent.
Yeah.
And are 100% current on it, that your landlord who is now deceased.
Yeah.
It's a sticky spot to be in.
Well, and I think I've even brought it up on the podcast. Like it was, I think last summer, how he was kind of, this gentleman was like kind of freaking out, and he's like, yeah, my landlord said I had 5 days to move. And I was like, that's not even legal. Like, so I like to get your point across. Like, it really hasn't been stable. And unfortunately, a lot of the houses in our neighborhood are in similar situations where people, I feel like we've heard stories where people pay their rent and then 2 days later, it's foreclosed and it's locked up.
Sure. Right. And sometimes, and I'm just basing this off of things that I've seen and heard that make me think that this is true, that if the city did foreclose on a building that somebody was living in, it's not like they immediately kicked them
that's
out.
True. Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure the city of Milwaukee doesn't want properties in general, which is why they can let it go to $22,000 because they don't want it because they have so many.
Yeah.
And they also don't want to be landlords.
Yeah.
Because they're not they're not a property management company. They're a government entity. They don't want that. And it's just not a good situation, but it's compounded because that building is probably only worth $40,000 maybe.
With the fire?
Well, now it's worth even less.
Yeah.
And I guess we could get into that for a second, like what would happen to it. And again, it would just be assumptions on my part, but I've seen enough to assume what I think is going to happen. But if the building's only worth, call it 40, and there's $22,000 in back taxes on it, even if there was a family member that wanted the building, really they're only, they got to pay $22,000 to clear it.
Yeah.
And you can't transfer a title until you clear all the taxes off of it.
Yeah.
And so even if there was one, again, I don't know anything about this situation, but even if there was only one child from the person that passed away, like the next in line where they inherited everything, they gotta, in order to clear all that, they gotta pay.
Yeah.
And they gotta have a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
And if they're not, it's not like when the sellers of the garden house got that big chunk of money and then it all went.
Yeah.
They got a very small portion of the actual sale price.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of it, 70% or even more, went to the city. Just to clear the taxes on it. So it's not a great situation.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's how Tiffany's house, the garden house, when she came and said like, "Hey, they're going to take my house." I don't remember when her parents died. Like, I know
Yeah,
they
it had
left.
been a while before. Yeah.
Okay, but they left her house. They left her the house, and then she owed about $20,000.
Yeah, something I don't remember what it was, but yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't be
a
surprised.
big chunk of money.
I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
Well, yeah, and then that's where you get predatory people that come in and say, "Well,
Yes.
if you give me the house,
I'll
I'll
take
pay
care
your
of it."
taxes and
Yeah.
I'll give you $3,000 or something."
Yeah, yeah.
So not particularly great. Now, to kind of think about what happens to that building.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had any part of ownership of that, my thought would be, well, I'm just going to do nothing.
You would do
well,
nothing?
not me, but
okay.
but
Like,
somebody that was trying to limit the amount of liability that they had, I would probably do nothing.
sure.
I would, and that's more than likely.
Because are you going to put money into it if
I'm not going to pay the $22,000 in
Yeah,
taxes. Just
yeah.
foreclose on it then.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
now it's clearly worth less than
Yeah.
$40,000. Now it's probably worth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
it's not
really,
even worth what the taxes owed on it are.
Which is just, I feel like I'm really sad because the guy that lived there was just so great. He was always out on his porch. He was always like, he was playing guitar, and like he was just a wonderful person who would like look out over the kids playing basketball across the street. And so I feel like I'm just really sad that when that happens to a neighbor, they're not your neighbor anymore. And
Right.
like I think like that's just I think that's one of the harder parts about living here is that a lot of people are moving in, moving out, and it's just it's hard to see. It's hard to know, where he's going, if he even has a decent place to live now. And I'm just not going to see him anymore. You know, and I feel like that's what I'm really sad about is just that I loved. I walk up and down 9th Street all the time from like the We Got This Garden to the 9th Street Garden, and I would see him all the time, and he would stop and talk to me for 20 minutes, and it was great. It was just he always had something to say. And I think that's just it's just hard. It's hard when people that, I mean, I feel like we've all had neighbors that we like and then they go away. And I think something about like living here, like you just don't see them anymore. And like, he has a phone, but like he never knows what the number is, or like I'm still like, can I have your phone number? And I think I have it, but I don't. He's never actually texted me back, so maybe he gave me the wrong number.
Maybe he doesn't want to text you.
Maybe, but he's a talker. I feel like he would. So it's just hard. It's hard that people, get these shitty situations that happen to them, and then they have to figure it out. He had like, when I saw him, he had his guitar, and I was like, at least you have your guitar. And he's like, yeah, but all my amps, all my sound stuff, it's all burnt.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that where you're like, oh, that sucks. That just isn't fair. It's not a fair way to, he's an elder guy, so he doesn't like work a ton and stuff. So, but yeah, he was talking to me about he wants to get his website back up and running and do teaching. He wants to teach guitar, so maybe he'll get some money from that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I feel like it's just one other way that people just get like shit on here.
Yeah, and then that's how neighborhoods like ours are created and arrive at the condition that they're currently in.
Yeah,
where there's a second house on that one block that's caught on fire.
Yeah.
The last one still there. So 15 months since it caught on fire.
Yeah, and there was one on 10th Street that caught on fire 2 months ago. So within all within walking distance.
Yeah.
So it just is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really sad for our neighbors.
Yeah, it's when you've lived somewhere for 20 years, I mean you don't, what's that, like the frog, you never know what I'm talking about with this, the frog that you put in the pot of boiling water.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't jump out if you do it slowly.
Right.
Okay, where are you going with this?
Well,
though?
just that, for having lived here for a long time, I think if you show up here and you're like, I don't even understand how it could have gotten to the point that it's at.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But you've just watched it for so long, and you're like, well, I remember when that house caught on fire.
Yeah.
And that one was used as a training exercise for the fire department.
Yeah.
And I remember when they tore down this other house. And I remember the people that used to live there. And I kind of know some of the backstory of what was going on. And oh, these other people tried to buy it and do something to it, and
and not to go back to
haven't
dumping.
seen them in 11 months.
Not to go back to dumping, but like a house that has, the house that's caught on fire is going to be dumped on.
Yeah.
And I'm almost like annoyed that that's now going to happen to one more house on the block.
Yeah. Yeah.
It all goes back to dumping.
But, the antidote to disinvestment is investment.
Love that. Love the spin. Keep going. I need this. My emotional self needs this right now.
And I think one of the best investments, a dollar for dollar investment, is into the young people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so, I just want to make sure that everybody knows if you are interested. Well, Meg, we got this work days coming up. So if you're a listener and you just want to stop by, you definitely should.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
every Saturday afternoon until June 7th.
Yeah, there's a couple that aren't more than likely will not have, but the majority of Saturdays, pretty much from here, until until the end of August, because this is going to start on June 7th.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're interested and want to come out, or you want to figure out how you can help be the change in our neighborhood, feel free to reach out at contact@wegotThisMKE.com.
Yeah, and for those new listeners, the reason we're talking about We Got This is because it's an incredible community garden over on 9th and Ring that we have seen just change the neighborhood for the good. Kids can come out on Saturdays in June, July, and August and work, and they get $20, and it's just a wonderful, beautiful pillar in the community that we get to help out at on Saturdays and beautify different spaces. We Got This has over 15?
Like 15, yeah.
15 lots, with
formerly vacant lots.
Formerly vacant lots, yes. That everyone on the team has helped transform into, different spaces. There's like this new blackberry whole area. I did not realize the blackberries were growing so well, but we now have a little blackberry patch, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a raspberry patch. We have black raspberries. We have red raspberries. We have golden raspberries. We are good with the berries.
Lots of raspberries.
Yeah, so all different things. I mean, different foods. Anyone that comes can, pick and grow and take the food with them. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing for the community. And again, we'd encourage you to follow We Got This Milwaukee on Facebook or check out the website.
Yeah. And then, Meg, if any of the things that we talked about today are interesting to you, you can, if you wanted to, you can learn more by checking out the book Bad Neighborhoods.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I gave one to a friend, and he just wrote this incredible review on it.
It was nice.
So I was just really excited to bring that up, and it's a book. You can get it, so you can search it on Amazon, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple different ways that you can engage with the content.
So let's hear it.
You can listen to it for free as an audiobook.
Yeah.
That is on the Bad Neighborhoods podcast feed.
Mm-hmm.
You just type that in.
Yeah.
However you type things in.
Do you have a hard time spelling neighborhoods?
Well, not anymore.
Okay. I really I feel like I always mess up with the H and I feel like I mess up one letter and I have to go back and be like,
yeah,
oh,
but
that's
I think Google figures it out for you.
I'm always typing it in and it's wrong. So I use the notes apps a lot and it doesn't always autocorrect.
Sure.
Okay.
But again, if you wanted to listen to it for free as an audiobook, you can.
Just have to know how to spell neighborhoods.
Bad Neighborhoods podcast feed. I think even if you're close, you get.
Okay, that's nice.
You can, if you want to, you can order it on Amazon, a physical copy of it.
And can we talk about where the proceeds go?
Well, I'm just going to keep taking. So I think it's like $15 on Amazon
for the book Bad Neighborhoods.
For the book, yeah. And then if you got Prime, they ship it for free,
sure, which
would be nice.
I would assume.
I don't know.
It's Amazon.
I never shipped one to myself.
Okay.
Because I can buy authors copies, which is the same thing. Yeah. But it only costs $5, and so
I feel like we're really going under the pulling back the screen.
Yep.
So all of the proceeds, you're just buying more and giving
I'm just buying
them
more,
out.
to give them out. Yeah, because I have no delusions that writing a book would ever make any money. You don't do it for that. You do it because you want to get all of your thoughts into one thing.
Yeah.
And then maybe have it in a nice, easy package to give to somebody. If you are interested and you want one for $5, reach out at contact@wegotThisMKE.com, and Meg we'll have one ready for
I'll
you.
figure it out. Yeah, I'll forward the email to you. And
Well, I assume, you're at your desk making websites.
yes, but I'm not logged into your account. I'm not the author.
We'll figure it out.
Well, we can figure it.
I got a stack at the house.
We don't need to discuss it on the podcast.
We should get into an argument about it. And then we should have the whole fight on the podcast episode.
Sounds great.
And then and then end it before it's resolved. We should. Just kidding.
No.
Well, Meg, anything else you want to plug or throw out there?
No, but I'm excited for. I think there is something I want to plug. If you have enjoyed our podcast, can you share it with somebody?
Oh, you could.
I feel like somebody. So the one woman who she wrote the book called Let Them.
Okay.
Maybe the podcast
Mel?
is the same.
Yeah.
I don't know what her podcast is, but she had this really good one. It was on.
I think it's her name. Yeah. Mel Robbins.
It was like on how to, basically like if you're a woman, how to like make sure when you're older you can still move around. That was the premise. It was great. I shared it. She kept saying share it like throughout the whole podcast. I shared it with like 4 different people.
Oh.
And I feel like it was very motivating. So I was like, oh, we should maybe do that on our podcast too. We should say, if you found this enjoyable, share it with somebody.
Well, I don't like telling people what to do, so I'm not going to say that. But if you, Meg, want to tell people to share it and they decide that they want to do that, feel free.
That's great. I feel like she was a little pushy in it, but it worked. And it was a really good podcast.
It's great.
So I think if you have good content, then
we should work on getting good content. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.